There was a question on a forums one day a long time ago, and for some reason it popped up into my mind. How to torment a woman? Well, I said, okay, we're diving into the dark psychiatry. I see. There was a forum that I found with people asking a lot of questions. Why are women fucked up? Why is it hard to comprehend them and this and that? And for a while, I used that some of the questions in there to base off some of my videos on. See, as of my own experience with some of the women that I've met, one of the ways to, let's say, torment them would be to simply ask them how they feel and to actually say it in words. Because one has to understand one thing: women are good at dissimulating, women are good at, playing the whole cosmos and replicating the whole consciousness of the cosmos. But when you ask them to tell you something in words, it's like they don't have the, many seem just like that robot that doesn't have a verbal patch installed, right? So it seems extremely difficult for many to simply say how they express themselves, how they feel themselves actually. And it feels like they're somewhat good at giving you hints of how they look, as if it is forbidden for them to express their emotions. This is something that goes deep, not because of their own personal life, but this is something that goes hundreds of years into their past, into the past of us humans as well. Because a long time ago, women have forgotten to be feminine because of suddenly plunging into the idea of comfort. And comfort is one of humanity's greatest poisons. And when the feminine forgot to be graceful, when the feminine forgot to keep elevating society, well, they invested their time more into their poison. And since they did not invest their time into elevating others, into being graceful beings anymore, well, people started shunning them and they started shunning one another. Obviously, when you look at how society has been portraying history, it presents everything as if women have been the only ones to suffer, as if the masculine did not suffer. The masculine has done quite a good job, I may say, at society, building them, destroying them, conquests, and anything, regarding the masculine ritualistic way of being. Because when the feminine no longer elevates the world, what do you get? Well, you get nothing else but the ritualistic masculine remaining, or, well, tribalism, what way you want to call it. And tribalism will always be just pure survival, right? Conquest, expand, maybe exterminate, build walls, fortify, and, well, restructuring and rebuilding in case it is needed. So when it comes to this, women have evolved throughout time in societies where they were shunned away. The lack of the feminine also triggered a lot of hatred in between women. Because even nowadays, when you look at many women, they just seem to hate one another without even knowing one another. They seem to just do very basic stuff like gossip and the such. When women gossip, many people think that they must have a very strong bond. No, when you gossip, that is not a bond. That is almost borderline treason. Because if someone is able to gossip with someone else about you, when they come to you, they will gossip about that person that they were gossiping about, most likely. Or maybe not to you, but someone else as well. Because these people who primarily focus on gossiping, well, that's not a good problem, right? Not a good point. Because it kind of shows that any little secret that you have, the whole planet will know. Yes? And, well, the reason why many women are nowadays fucked up, spiteful, and the such is also because of abandonment issues in their current present life. But it is a huge karma of pain based on all of humanity's women that they have suffered more or less because of having been taken through witch hunts in different parts of the world, or shamed and maybe demonized because of just being women, or being made use of just as objects. Because when people dive more and more, when humanity dived more and more into the layers of ignorance, obviously the importance of others dwindles. There is little to no empathy left, and everyone in the end ends up being used as a resource. When the feminine forgets to elevate or is no longer allowed to elevate due to numerous points, that society in time will become a society of conquerors. It will tend to become an empire, more or less. Because when people start suffering from lack, it doesn't matter how many resources they have. Look at so many of the leaders. They had everything they could ever imagine. They had all the women possibly needed. They had all the riches in the world, but still they would spend their whole life in conquest because there was a huge hatred of their own place, of their own life, yes, of their own environment as well. Because when you grow into an environment where you're just another variable, you're just another resource, you never know whether you're gonna make it till tomorrow. Well, that is a problem. It is a big problem. Because in the end, well, it does matter. What one generation cannot go through, what one generation refuses to transcend in terms of challenges, the other generations will pick up. So the generations nowadays are far more emotional than the previous generations because hundreds of generations before of ignorance and suffering. Also, if they cannot transcend something or whatever they have accomplished, in a way is transmitted to the next generations. That is why the first generations who started, for example, corporatism, well, they were all into the lie. They all thought that it is the new way in life, that it is something good. But in the end, they all ended up suffering the same problem, right? It was nothing else but a lie of society. The newer generations are born already sick of corporatism. They haven't worked in there, but they feel deep within them, the suffering that their ancestors have gone through. Because all the murders, crimes, and ignorances that our ancestors have been doing, those are nothing else but lessons for us to learn. If we refuse to learn, our future generations will suffer the same fate, because it will be harder and harder for each generation to simply transcend those challenges. That is why a sick society always needs great traumas to happen in each generation's life so that they have something that they cannot transcend. So the next generations will be even more feeble. And therefore, you will have even weaker children, psychologically and mentally speaking. People who are not capable of thinking for themselves. People who instantly give up everything just because they have a little bit of pain, right? And you see so many people they can't stand pain. They cannot handle multiple situations. They can't handle stress or anything. They start doing any possible obsession just to escape their stupid situations, right? Their silly little ideas that they make so big of a deal out of, right? So understanding humans is, well, a very broad aspect, a very great challenge in life. One needs a certain sensitivity about life and sensibility, obviously, to things around them, because there are cues everywhere. In order to understand a woman, well, a lot of people think one has to become a psychiatrist, a priest, whatever you call them. It makes you feel that women are complicated, but they are not complicated at all. It's just that to them, having been silenced throughout so many generations, those pains exist within many of the women nowadays. You may look at them, they might feel that they're functioning well. I tell you, there is a little bit of lesbianism in all of them. There is a little bit of hating men in all of them, and there is a little bit of hating themselves and other women as well, right? These four little seeds, you will find them because for hundreds of years it's been so. Don't think this karma will simply be transcended right now. Maybe some individuals have less issue with that, but you will see those points within any woman nowadays, and based on their background that will be more or less amplified. So the point is, if you want to piss off a woman, many of them will be easily pissed off if you ask them how they feel, and if you ask them to tell you straightforward and in words how they actually feel, because they will be experts at either dissimulating or trying to, or telling you how they feel. Because if a woman feels bad, obviously she will show you that. Any way that a woman feels, she will make your whole life exactly like that. Because they're not gonna tell you that they feel very bad spiritually or they feel very bad mentally. They will simply make your life hell, hoping that you would be all knowledgeable enough to simply realize that, or that you actually have the time to do that, because nowadays everyone is busy doing nothing, or well, everyone is either busy actually, or well, distracting themselves constantly and not doing anything, but still pretending to be busy just so that they don't socialize. Yes, a lot of people suffer from abandonment issues and lack of socialization, and that is why they will feel like shit. But still, they will crave their own comfort of not doing anything. And many women are exactly like that. Even at work, many women simply don't seem to be working too much. They just all seem to have this very beautiful communist idea that they are born into a world where everyone must do anything for them, that they're some kind of princess. They're simply incapable of realizing that nobody actually cares for you. Why is it? Well, it is very simple. Because of out of abandonment issues and living alone and without anyone to count on, it is easy to create these little ideas that you're some kind of favorite of the world or chosen of the world, or that the whole world owes you something. Nobody owes you anything. God does not owe you anything. Who the fuck you think you are that creation would know who you are, right? Or that creation would actually care for you? Life has its ups and downs. There will be things, events, and happenings in life that will favor you, and there will be simply some events that will not. This is how life functions. Nothing is targeting you specifically. Creation doesn't love you, creation doesn't hate you, and well, if you believe otherwise, it is up to you. But I prefer living life the way it is, because no force in this cosmos is necessarily fighting against you or for you. There are forces that simply exist just like a stream. If you jump into a river and decide to suddenly swim against its current, well, it's not the river's fault. The river will flow and has flowed that way before you, even, right? So, when it comes to women, usually expressing themselves through words is how you build a bond with them. Because to them, the abandonment of their previous generations and the abuses they have gone through, not that the whole society wasn't an abuse against abusers and abusees and whatever. Well, all of these are deeply strong still in women. You will see a lot of such insecurities. You will see many of them asking you very similar questions, whether they are your favorite within a certain group, whether you like them, or they will beat the bush around certain things out of which your only answer would be whether you like them or not, or things like that. Those are signs the woman likes you. But, insecurities are something very deep. And a lot of people choose not to talk about those because, in the end, a lot of people will just shun you away. The moment they feel you have an emotional problem, they will run away, right? Because many people have emotional issues. When you live in a society that everyone is just punishing you for nothing, stupid parenting, nobody is guiding you on how to actually be a human being, not just a human doing, you end up thinking that emotion has to be something bad about you. And then you end up, whatever you're doing, you end up bad. We always end up comparing ourselves with others who are doing things. But in the end, why not actually think, let me actually um, compare myself in the end with people who don't do? Why would I compare myself necessarily with people who do things? Those people may have been doing those things way before me, so obviously they will be much better than me. Why compare myself to a few people who actually do way better things than me and end up deprecating myself, when I can actually gain some courage and momentum just looking around and seeing that nobody actually does shit with their life, everyone thinks they're immortal, nobody has any hobbies, and everyone complains only about their stupid jobs and that they have problems in their life. But what kind of problem do you have in your life? Like, literally, you barely work the same job, you barely do anything with it, or maybe you're tired as heck out of it, I don't know. But many people are tired not because of their job, but because of stupidly overthinking and job problems, these problems, always worrying about anything. See, making use of your mind constantly and overthinking will consume way more energy than you can consume by going into the gym. Not only that, but when you worry about things, you also invest emotionally and even through images. And that's like asking the whole cosmos to give you more of that. You convince your life energies about that, is gonna be your only reality. Yes, this is how most people end up. Because When you worry about someone, you're imagining the horrible things that can happen, and you're investing emotionally. You're even imagining with images, with like graphics. You're imagining with both mind and emotion. That's like doing an incantation when you ask the cosmos for that thing to happen to that person, and you're not even thankful that that thing doesn't happen. Most people are simply below this level of awareness. So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated. Take care. Enjoy life. And this being said, Ferenc Board signing out.